Hello there. It is midday and I'm just trying new stuff. So I'm inside, I'm in my office now, and I'm gonna just be honest, my office is kind of junky and I just decided to use a backdrop and I want to be able to use my computer, my desktop over here because I have some things I want to talk about. Um there was a, I guess, testimony, let's just call it that, about the repercussions of the vaccine from COVID-19, all of these things. Um, Let me get more information for the for those who are interested. So right now, there's going to be a lot of talking heads talking about whatever team you support, they're going to have some kind of angle when it comes to this Congress hearing. Okay. And I'm trying to pull up certain videos so that you will be listening to them and I break them down. Um, haven't heard all of them, but I kind of want to give you background information. So, a lot of this stuff has been happening even though a lot of people are too busy being on social media. It's been happening since 2020, and I don't know. I just feel really bad when people get misinformed. So during 2020, and I can pull up a lot of my things that are what I was doing. I'm going to just tell you. I was teaching and in a classroom, and I got, we all got the call to go home basically, right? And every day since, because I was always an avid news watcher, but mindfully so, in that I get my news sources from multiple sources and sources outside of the United States. And I do that for a reason, because we don't get everything. We don't get told everything. Okay? We don't get everything. And because of that, I knew that long time ago. Since I started curating even more mindfully my news in 2016 for obvious reasons. Um, yeah. So we don't get told everything. And it's interesting how I've watched people that I know get manipulated through certain news, whatever, and they don't actually get the real. So I watch the news, so you don't have to, I guess, but some people are so disenfranchised from American news or news in general that they just don't watch any of it, which I get it. I understand. I'm a person that, again, I know how to read around the news or read around the things. I'm civic minded. I don't know. I have a copy of the Constitution literally here, and I pay attention to this stuff. Like, I really do. Um, Now, I'm going to give you, let's see, let me close out of this um, window. So, yeah, there was a hearing, and there has been hearings. So, that's the thing. So, right now, a lot of people, hi there, a lot of people might get a lot of like extra buzz from the, I guess, the sensationalism of it. But hearings have been being ongoing for months now. Um, about and I'll give you reasons why. So there is a congressperson. I like to call her Congress Karen because that's what she's been doing. And I find it very interesting that she is on this particular platform, um, really mad at. I think she's just mad at Dr. Fauci. I don't know why. Like, she's got some kind of vendetta against him or something. But really, I think she hasn't been done against anybody. I think she is like the total do girl. I didn't even know last week that she was just randomly attacking people in Congress, like in her committees. I mean, she's not really there for the people in her district. And I'm just going to tell you straight facts that when she was elected, nobody was running against her the first time. That's the only reason why she got into office. Nobody was running against her the first time. Okay. And the second time she ran against a black man in a mostly white district. So I don't know. He tried. But yeah, so Congress Karen, for those who don't know, is Marjorie Taylor Greene. Congress Karen. She is, I don't know, she's just on this, I don't know. She's just mad. She's just big mad. And I want you to hear this from me. I'm reading this from the internet. You can Google this yourself before you start hearing and seeing memes and this and that way or whatever. So this was in 2021. So okay, I hope most people know what happened. So the president at the time in 2020 was Donald Trump. He was the president then. Okay. He was not I was going to say removed. He wasn't out of office until 2021, January 20th or 6th or whatever you want to, that kind of thing. But he was the president at the time. Okay. Now, I was curious. Like, she had been talking about how I'm not vaccinated, this and that, blah, blah, blah. It's whatever. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's fine. But I was curious. I was like, I wonder, is she still not vaccinated or what is her situation? So all I did was type in, did MTG get the vaccine? That's all I typed in. This is what comes up for me. Yes, there's some news stories that say, yes, she says she's not vaccinated as of 2021. So there's news reports on that. There's also some reports on her using Twitter to just, blast random things out there. And again, I hope most people realize that yeah. Then down here, I go to the Business Insider. That is a news source for business news. There is a headline that says Marjorie Taylor Greene owns stock in Pfizer, Johnson and Johnson. Revealed that Greene holds AstraZeneca, Pfizer, and Johnson and Johnson stock. She owns stock as of 2021 in these companies. While she may not have taken the vaccine, she owns stock in it. She's making money off of it. And the reason why I'm pulling this up, as I did my research, I was going to start off with the videos first, but then I was like, you know what? I just want people to see how people be playing in your face. How people play in your face. And people fall for it. So, okay, whether you took it or not, the shot or whatever, that's your business. That's your own personal business. But I also see how interesting how people will throw a rock, hide their own hand, and pretend like they're, So again, okay, so I'm pulling up a piece of a video. This is where, and again, a lot of, they're having the committee. They're asking Dr. Anthony Fauci questions about the timelines of when the vaccine was oriented, for which, again, even if it was oriented in China, it's like, that's not his business. Like, he's here in the United States. So they're, questioning him on like the trajectory of what happened and what can we do next time. That this is some valid questions. He is now retired now. I'm going to the part of this particular video for where my friend Congress Karen is just, She has this, again, this privilege of just being super random and talking over people, not asking questions at all, just saying things so that it can be on the record. And they're actually having a debate between the committee that's Democrat and Republican, trying to decide, like, she talks so much that, like, what can we just take out, because she's saying words at this point. She's just talking. And then when they finally get her to play by the Congress rules or whatever, it's interesting what she comes up with. So yeah, so I'm going to pull up. There's a part where she was super random, and at first she was like, didn't want to call Dr. Fauci. And she was like, in my mind, he's not a doctor. It's like total Karen behavior, right? Total Karen. And then she pulls up these pictures of dogs. She's like, this is animal cruelty. This is animal cruelty. Didn't she have a fur on in January? I don't know. So, yeah. All right. So here we go. People deserve abuse. Oh my gosh. So I'm also reading she's worried about people's paychecks. Okay, so I'm going right after the animal abuse accusations or whatever here. All right, so let's listen.
Signed off on, but you also told the American people they had to distance by 6 feet. They had to wear masks. But let's also talk a little bit further about the type of science that you represent. NIH scientists made $10 million in royalties from drug makers, a fact that's been hidden. Let's talk about the fact about, is it right for scientists and doctors getting paid by the American people, government taxpayer paycheck patents, where they're paid millions and hundreds of millions of dollars and royalties, especially when the NIH and these government agencies, most powerful agencies in our country, are recommending medical suggestions and advice and making up guidelines like 6 feet distancing and masking of children. Do you think that's appropriate? Do the American people deserve to be abused like that?
Okay, so she's claiming that the government is making money from patents, but last I checked, Johnson & Johnson doesn't work for the government, and Pfizer and AstraZeneca and all that stuff, they don't work for the government. But she owns stock in them. She owns stock in them, at least as of 2021. Okay, so she's literally, like they said, throwing the rock and hiding her hand. Throwing the rock and hiding her hand. That is what that's that play. That's a play right there. Okay.
Mr. Fauci, because you're not doctor, you're Mr. Fauci in my few minutes. No, I don't need your answer. I want to talk about this right here.
Mr. Chairman,
Fauci, I reclaim my time.
See? Do you see what I'm saying? It's like he wasn't there. He was there voluntarily too. And he had already did a whole testimony in private. So this is just public on C-SPAN. So you can go watch it if you want. He had already given like a testimony before this all happened. It's just now a more public hearing. She's not asking questions because she doesn't want to ask any questions. She's not there to get any information. She's there to, do what she wants to do, basically. Like I said, Congress Karen in action. There you
go. Action. I reclaim my time. Mr. Raskin.
Gentlelady will suspend.
Mr. Chairman,
of order.
Just in terms of the rules of decorum, are we allowed to deny that a doctor is a doctor just because we don't want him to be a doctor?
Yeah.
So there are rules of Congress, rules of decorum. I'm going to pull back just a second. So one of the things that she's been doing lately, and probably why I guess she got viral recently, people are talking about her, because she will not ask questions. She's that mean girl type. She'll just say something, insult you, try to get you to react, and then you're like, well, I'm just being this, I'm just, she's pulling a total mean girl stuff, which is, pretty pathetic. But now they're talking about, like, look, if you're going to be a part of Congress, you need to follow the rules of decorum of how to have a conversation with people, because she clearly does not know how to do that. So I'm pulling it back just a touch, because there's two congressmen, Representative Raskin, and I can't remember the other guy, but they're about to snatch her up real quick. Hold on.
Gentlelady will
Point of order.
suspend.
Mr.
Point
Chairman,
of order.
just in terms of the rules of decorum, are we allowed to deny that a doctor is a doctor just because we don't want him to be a doctor?
Yes, because in my time, that man does not deserve to have a license. As a matter of fact, it should be, and he belongs in
Gentlelady will
prison.
suspend.
So the thing is, even in her comment, she acknowledges that he is a doctor. So when you learn how to hear things, y'all, she acknowledges that he's a doctor. She just doesn't want to say it, even in that comment. All right, so let me roll it back. So now she's trying to pull up the picture of when he was throwing the pitch for the Washington Nationals, where everybody was at home. He was invited with, it looks like, his wife and a friend. They're in a pod. Remember those when you were in pods and you just only hung out with certain people? Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe you didn't. I don't know. All right, so I'm pulling this back just a touch.
As a matter of fact, it should be, and he belongs in
Gentlelady will
prison.
suspend. The gentlelady should recognize the doctor as a doctor.
People are clapping in there. Okay. And then she rolled her eyes. She did a little ooh, because she knew. All right. Here we
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And this government that
I
does
would
things
urge
like that to
Miss-
Americans doesn't have decorum to the American
Mr.
people.
Chairman,
Gentlemen,
point of regular order, please.
the gentleman is out of order.
Decorum.
Recognize a point of order. Go ahead with your point of order.
You got it.
No, I was going to say what Representative Raskin said. That's completely unacceptable to be able to deny Dr. Fauci, who's here, a respected member of the medical community, his title, and that's actually a personal attack on his character.
And I have instructed her.
He's not respected.
And I've instructed her to address him as a doctor.
I'm not
Gentlelady shall
addressing him as
continue.
doctor. Let's talk about,
And I would,
let's talk
Mr.
about
Chairman,
this.
I
I'm
would move
reclaiming
that the
my
woman-
time. I'm reclaiming my time.
Words get taken
I'm
down.
reclaiming my time. Second that.
Point of order.
Suspend.
All right.
So now, so yeah, guess what? This is like a business meeting, right? When you're at work and you got that one person that's always like, oh my gosh, like, can you just be quiet? Be quiet. That's her. That's her. Like, and everybody in there just sitting there, like, oh my gosh, why? Why is she still talking? And that's the atmosphere of what is happening in Congress right now. It's like she's just running her mouth. She's got her own little personal agenda going on, and it's annoying. And so through that quick exchange, I don't know if you heard, there was somebody else, I couldn't recognize the voice, but they were saying strike. That means take it out of the record, because she's just being disrespectful and she's just running her mouth. And somebody says, I second, and they're like, okay. So they're taking that part out, even though we heard it. They're taking it out of the public record. And then she's like, okay. Because she knows. She knows.
A member can only move to have words. I'm sorry. The issues we are debating are important ones that members feel deeply about. And while vigorous disagreement is part of the legislative process, as I said at the beginning, members are reminded that we must adhere to established standards of decorum in debate. This is a reminder that it is a violation of House rules and the rules of this committee to engage in personalities regarding other members or to question the motives of a colleague. Remarks of that type are not permitted by the rules and are not in keeping with the best traditions of our committee. The chair will enforce these rules of decorum at all times and urges all members to be mindful of their remarks. Does the gentleman from California have anything further?
Well, we should have to take her words down.
Yeah, I made it. I offered that her words be taken down, Mr. Chair. Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a
Okay. So he's also referring back to what happened, I guess, the other week when she was attacking people based on what they look like and stuff. So this is like him trying to scold her, like, look, ma'am, you don't know how to read? Like, we told you last time to watch your mouth. And she just will not stop. She just won't stop.
of order.
Mr.
Because
Griffin,
they
is
accused us
Mr.
of
Griffin is-
worshiping President Trump. We don't
Gentlelady-
worship President Trump.
Gentlelady will suspend. Mr. Griffin, you have a point of.
So that was a Republican. So this is not about party lines or anything like that. She's just rude. She's just rude. So she wants to get her, whatever. I don't even know if she has a message, quite honestly, but I do find it interesting how people want to skew information. I don't even want to call it facts, but skew information to make it seem like it's one thing when it's really something else. So yeah, so now she's gonna probably, I'm trying to remember this part of the video where she's most likely going to be like, trying to remember that part, talking about, again, the companies making money from, or the doctor, he is not a company, he worked for our government since the 90s. No, actually, let me roll that back, since the 80s, 90s. We'll go over that in a moment, but I'm not trying to make him a hero or anything. So that's another tactic that people have been trained into thinking, this black and white thinking. There's nuance here. There's nuance. She has every right to be mad that, I don't know. I don't even know if she was in Congress at the time, where she had to follow the rules of, COVID rules or whatever. But she has every right to be mad. She has every right. Like, there's a lot of people who didn't take the vaccine. She has every right not to take it either. But she does have a choice in what stocks she purchases, for which, again, let me remind you, as late as 2021, she owned stock in those 3 major companies that did the vaccine. She had stock in it. And yeah, interesting.
Point of order.
Mr. Chairman, while it may not be polite, I believe the rule only applies to members of this body, the Senate, and the President of the United States. I do not believe that it applies. The rule on taking down words does not apply to a witness. Again, I'm not condoning the words. I'm just relating or asking whether or not it applies to individuals who are just happen to be here in front of us.
I agree. The chair overrules the point of order by the gentleman from Maryland, but asks that members please afford all other members the respect they're entitled, refrain from using rhetoric that could be construed as an attack on the motives or character of another member or the witness. You may proceed.
All right. So again, they're just trying to make sure that, again, everybody in that chamber is getting respected and not just like, are you asking questions or what are you doing, ma'am? So they're just getting the reminder of that. Okay. And how it also applies to the witnesses too. So now she's going to straighten up, supposedly. We'll see. All right.
Thank you. This was a time in history where you got to throw out the first pitch at the Washington Nationals baseball game, while Americans were forced to stay home and watch such events that they love from at home alone on their televisions. And what a hypocrisy this picture shows. Here you are without your mask, with empty seats everywhere. Remember the cardboard cutout fans That was one of the most insulting things to Americans, having to watch the games from home where you got to go and enjoy the game and sit right next to people, not following the 6 feet of distancing, not.
Okay, so there's 3 people in this picture. It's Dr. Fauci, 3 people in this picture, his wife, and most likely his friend. His wife and his friend have a mask on. He has a mask on. It's just off. I tell you. Anyway.
Not wearing your mask, and everyone else was forced to stay home and stop enjoying life. And your science here, your science is displayed perfectly in this picture where children in school were put in plastic bubbles because of your science.
I'm going to say something about it, about this being a teacher. Look, listen. There are some populations out here that know what really, I hate to say it, parents, some of y'all just be sending your child to school sick on a regular day. You put medicine in them and you send them off because you have to go to work. And I understand how that, when your job doesn't let you stay at home, I understand. But we also know that that's what really goes on. Okay? So even though I was a teacher being sat at home doing Zoom school, I didn't like it, but at the same time, I also knew just how people are, and they will totally send their child to school sick, and they were doing it even after we came back. We had to hear from the children. The children be telling us stuff. I'm just telling you now. Children, they tell. So we know. Thank you. Or no thank you. Right? So we know.
Your repulsive, evil science. And let's go back to your very own email. You said earlier you don't use email. Oh, you do. Right here. This is your own email where you said the typical mask you buy in the drugstore is not really effective in keeping out virus.
Okay, I'm going to pause there because this is one of the things that I was debating people, arguing with them, left, right, up, down, all the things. All right, so in January of 2020, or actually February, when somebody did ask in February of 2020 about what best mask to use. And then they mentioned the K95 mask. Then next thing you know, everybody is buying them. They're buying them out. That was in February of 2020. Okay? Then it's almost like to protect the healthcare industry, because they needed those masks. They needed those masks to take care of the people who had the stuff, right? But everybody was buying them. And nobody was doing mass production. So there is a law, and I will look that up, when President Trump, he basically told people, hey, can you make things to help the country? That's when Ford stopped making certain things. That's when certain companies stopped making alcohol, and they started making alcohol to drink versus alcohol to sanitize, because people were buying that stuff up. It was ridiculous, right? So that's where, yeah, most masks are not going to work. I'm not trying to defend Fauci, but I'm just going off of what I remember, because I was paying attention, because most of y'all, again, some of y'all were on TikTok. But I was trying to pay attention. All right, so yeah, so he mentioned that, yes, these masks are not going to work, but they'll do better than nothing. They'll do better than nothing if you ain't got nothing else, right? And because they were trying to protect the KN95 mask, the ones that they needed for the healthcare system. All right.
Do not recommend that you wear a mask. This is your email. This is your own words. But yet children all over America were forced to wear masks. Healthy children forced to wear masks, muzzled in their schools. And then they were forced to learn from home because of your so-called science and your medical suggestions. while you and all your cronies get paid from Big Pharma. You know,
Remember what I just said? Who owns stock in the three? MTG. She owns stock in the big three. MTG. Congress Karen. Y'all listen, pay attention.
that what this committee should be doing, we should be recommending you to be prosecuted. We should be writing a criminal referral because you should be prosecuted for crimes against humanity. You belong in prison, Dr. Fauci.
Mr. Chairman,
You see how she used it again. So y'all listen. This is such like a masterclass in like how to really hear people and know what they're really coming from and how they be lying in your face, playing in your face. People do it. She's doing it. Okay, she made so much money off of that. Playing in other people's faces.
I have another point of order.
I recognize Ms. Dingle.
Just want to make sure the record is clear. Dr. Fauci testified that he did not use his personal email for official business. He did not say he did not use email. And I think today, this particular has been full of lies and disregard and disrespect, and we need to stick to facts.
Yep. All right, so there's that. All right, so I'm gonna pull back from
Dr. Fauci, we're here.
All right. And you know the chairman of that board, he's also a doctor. Let me make sure I get the names in there right. So Dr. Winstrup, he's the chairman of that board. I believe he's Republican. He's a doctor. You notice he ain't saying nothing. Notice. Go back over here. I support the rainbow, okay? It is a happy little rainbow too. Let me make sure I might have to glue it back on with some super glue. All right. So yeah. So this committee, let me tell you more about this committee. This video is, I guess, on the flip side. Okay, the first video I showed you was actually Fox oriented. This one is actually MSNBC oriented. So I want y'all to, I don't know, hear all the things. We need to be able to hear all the things and hear through, people and what they are really saying. All right, so this committee is an investigatory committee. Like, I'm trying to remember what other things they pull people for various things, but they've been pulling people for months about the COVID-19 thing, okay? And it's mostly because of Congress Karen, though. It's like, I don't know. All right, so let's see what they're going to get themselves into. So,
Investigate the COVID-19 pandemic and to explore lessons learned, positive or negative, and to better prepare for future pandemics.
So that was the reason for this particular hearing. That was the purpose of this hearing. To just get information. Like, what can we, like, it's a reflection. It's a debrief. Like, what can we learn, right? All right. So I kind of want to skip over some things. So this is with Lawrence O'Donnell. I don't remember what he said about it. All right, so we'll just play. We'll talk.
May have been why the Republican chairman of that committee, who you just heard from, Brad Wenstrup, was there. He is a physician whose questioning of Dr. Fauci today was mostly respectful.
Mm-hmm.
But Marjorie Taylor Greene showed up too, and her uncouth performance included refusing to call Dr. Anthony Fauci a doctor. She, as the consistent front runner for stupidest member of the House of Representatives in history, actually told Dr. Fauci that she doesn't think he is a doctor.
So when people are just obtuse in their thinking, obtuse. That's what that is. It's like she knows he's a doctor. Even, like I said, I caught it earlier in her own response. She knows he's a doctor. She doesn't want to say the words. But I don't want to get into this.
Most Republican members of the committee spent their time trying to indict Dr. Fauci for what they falsely said was his refusal to even consider that COVID-19 could have originated in a lab in China. The top Democrat on the committee, ranking member Raul Ruiz, who is also a physician, summarized what the committee's Republican-led investigation has discovered.
Okay, so before I let you play that, yeah, there's a lot of doctors in Congress, like, but yeah, y'all gonna let Congress Karen. We already know, okay, Congress Karen, girl, calm down. All right, let's do it. Dr. Ruse from where, California. All right, let's go.
Past 15 months, the Select Subcommittee has pored over more than 425,000 pages of documents provided to us by government agencies, universities, and private citizens. We have conducted more than 100 hours of closed-door interviews with 20 current and former federal officials and scientists. And what we have found is the following. Dr. Fauci did not fund research through the EcoHealth Alliance grant that caused the COVID-19 pandemic.
All right, I'm going to pause here because this is where I feel like a lot of talking heads are going to start jumping on that, but then they're not going to play this, what I just played. I'm going to play it again so that you can hear, okay? A lot of talking heads are probably going to say, oh, he was stealing money, he was accused of stealing money, but then they're not going to play the second part. So when it comes to, see, I'm trying to get my copy of the Kabbalion. All truths are but half truths, right? So be careful about, when people say a thing, don't think about what they're saying, think about what they're not saying. Yeah, he's just one of many, Dr. Fauci, that is, being questioned, right? For months. Like I said, that's the reason why I'm telling you this. It's like they've been doing this for months. Sorry, my video got a little jumpy there. Okay, let me get back to that spot. So yeah, so think about what people aren't saying, not just what they are saying. They're trying to get you to think a certain way. So again, this is where this comes into play, friends, and that's what I'm trying to get people to realize. It's like there's some people who know the Hermetic laws and they're using them to their advantage on you, and you're falling for it. You don't have to fall for it. Okay? The Hermetic laws. All right. So, yeah, let me get over here to what I was looking for. So, yeah, so they're basically saying they've been conducting this investigation for a while, and they're not finding anything because there's nothing to find. And if anything, as I recall, because I wasn't there, but I was there, paying attention to the news. That's why I said this at the beginning of this video. Paying attention to the news and talking to people who I know who are on different levels of this structure of healthcare, government. I'm just going to tell you, the United States is not that organized. They're really not. The United States is not that organized. Okay? Like, everybody's thinking this is such a mass conspiracy when really there's a lot of people who they don't even know what they're doing most of the time. Okay? And this was one of those situations that went total ham. So, yeah, let me go ahead and let me replay what Dr. Ruse is saying. So again, there's going to be talking heads that will tell you that Dr. Fauci is guilty of something, but they're telling you that so far they haven't found anything. Okay? Let me get in there.
We have conducted more than 100 hours of closed-door interviews with 20 current and former federal officials and scientists. And what we have found is the following. Dr. Fauci did not fund research through the EcoHealth Alliance grant that caused the COVID-19 pandemic. Dr. Fauci did not lie about gain and function research in Wuhan, China. And Dr. Fauci did not orchestrate a campaign to suppress the lab leak theory. After 15 months, the select subcommittee still does not possess a shred of evidence to substantiate these extreme allegations that Republicans have levied against Dr. Fauci for nearly 4 years.
In his
What'd I say? So yeah, you might be getting some people out there, like I said, talking heads talking about he did this, he did that. It's like, this is in Congress now. This is in the record. You can go look for it yourself. I strongly suggest people do that, but of course they're not going to. What they're going to do is going to listen to the talking heads and whatever thing they're going to talk about instead of actually listening to the words, to the facts. They didn't find anything because there's nothing to find. Okay? People are just like, let me just say, people are just stupid. Like, not you, but I'm just saying, y'all really think that China orchestrated some kind of thing to where the United States was involved, but yet we're fighting with China right now? Okay? As I say, make it make sense. Okay? So they didn't find anything. Did not find anything. Okay? Let's see. There's nothing to find.
Dr. Fauci explained how his leadership led to the quick development of life-saving COVID vaccines.
Okay. So again, as I said before, I talked to a lot of my healthcare friends and they had the science already. They had the development of when, one of the other major things that was going on is everybody's like, well, how did they come up with the vaccine so fast? It's like they had the technology already. They just never had the I guess the connectiveness, the streamlinedness to put it out into the world. So the push was, can we get it out there to people with the new technology? They okay. Even Barack Obama I want to say, what year was that? He had this I don't want to say coalition, but he mentioned trying to have this kind of system of streamlining, like, help for people when it comes to like mass diseases. Like, think about Ebola. So when Ebola was big, and it's still out there, by the way, I think, and bird flu and all this other stuff. So Barack Obama was trying to like find a way to be like, okay, we have all this, y'all, but we need to find a way to streamline all of this. But of course, none of y'all were paying attention because y'all too busy scroll, boop, boop, boops. Okay. All right. So let's listen back. I'm rolling it back. So this is
Opening statement, Dr. Fauci explained how his leadership led to the quick development of life-saving COVID vaccines.
Prior to my retirement from federal service in December 2022, I had been at the NIH for 54 years and director of NIAID for more than 38 years. In those posts, I was deeply involved in the scientific and public health response to several infectious diseases outbreaks, including HIV/AIDS, pandemic flu, Ebola, and Zika. And so, under my leadership, we were well positioned to respond to COVID-19. For at least 2 decades prior to the COVID outbreak, we at NIAID had invested billions of dollars in research on mRNA technology and immunogen design, both of which led to the swift development of COVID vaccines. Less than 11 months after the identification of this new virus, safe and highly effective vaccines were widely available, an unprecedented accomplishment in the history of vaccinology that saved tens of millions of lives worldwide.
boom. So, like I said, that's how. When people don't pay attention to the world they live in and they're too busy escaping it in sports and TV, gossip, all this other stuff, you miss all the things. Okay? And so it was there. It had been there. It was just not organized. all the technology was there to be able to help people faster, but it just never got out there. So again, think about your work day. Like if you're at work and you know of some information of like how it can get done and nobody's listening to you, nobody's paying like, oh, like whatever. It's not until it really starts happening and they're like come running to you and they're like, we need help. This is what happened. This is what happened. Let's listen some more.
Of millions of lives saved by the work of Dr. Anthony Fauci. Dr. Fauci read one of his own emails urging at the very beginning of the pandemic research on a possible lab leak of that virus.
I now quote from an email that I sent to Professor Farrar on February 1, 2020, quote, Jeremy, I just got off the phone with Christian Anderson and he related to me his concern about the furin site mutation in the spike protein of the virus. I told him that as soon as possible, he and Eddie Holmes should get a group of evolutionary biologists together to carefully examine the data to determine if his concerns are validated, and they should report it to the appropriate authorities. I would imagine that in the USA, this would be the FBI, and in the UK, it would be MI5. In the meantime, I will alert my US government official colleagues of my conversation with you and Christian and determine what further investigation they recommend. Let us stay in touch. Best regards, Tony, unquote. It is inconceivable that anyone who reads this email could conclude that I was trying to cover up the possibility of a lab leak. I have always kept an open mind to the different possibilities.
Would you have any reason?
So yeah. Like I said, these talking heads, they won't let you hear all this. This is straight from his mouth. This you can go to C-SPAN and watch this yourself. Okay? But yet most of y'all are too busy on the social medias, right? You're too busy watching, like reading gossip columns or watching other things on the things, right? So I don't want to throw people under certain things under the bus, but I mean, this is what happens when you don't pay attention to things. And this is not me saying stay woke or whatever. It's like we were all afraid. I'm just gonna be honest. Yeah, we were all scared. There were some people scared, more scared than others, and they were just living their own little world and they just had their own little things and people weren't paying attention and they were just like, well, just save us, just help us, just do whatever, there was those people, and then there was like, hey, don't tell me what to do, I don't want to be told what to do, I'm a person and this and that. So there's a lot of this, a lot of going on. It was highly emotional this time, right? So there was, I don't know, just a lot going on. And it really just bothers me that even right now, like I said, there's going to be some people trying to rewrite history in a way that makes it benefit them, right? When really, you can just go and find it for yourself. That's the beauty now of the internet. It's right there, y'all. It's right there. But yet, some people, we tell you the truth and we tell you like what's going down and you still do it anyway. Things like, I don't know, I'm not going to go into that. So let's listen to some more.
Any new scientific evidence relating to the origins of the COVID-19 virus?
Absolutely not. And that's the reason why it was important to get people together to discuss this in a transparent way.
Have you spent your whole life trying to determine the causes of infectious diseases and then to stop them to protect the American people?
Yes, I have. My main job during the COVID pandemic was to play a role with my team at the Vaccine Research Center to develop a safe and effective vaccine. And we did that in an unprecedented short period of time, never seen before in the annals of vaccinology. As we all know, that vaccine and those vaccines have resulted in saving of hundreds of thousands of lives in the United States and millions of lives throughout the world.
He didn't have to be there.
So again, I don't know. It's up to you if you've wanted to take that shot or not. And everybody has their own personal truth or whatever. But in Congress here, which is like a court, if you think about it, and it is. When they have these hearings, they have to follow. That's why I showed you the other one first. It's like they gotta follow rules of decorum. So like when you go to court, you don't go in there just be like, blah, So there's a system for listening for information. Okay, that's why yeah. So there's a system for people to get information out, and that's why I'm showing you this or listening to this so that you can understand that some people are going to, just because you don't like, certain things or certain things doesn't make it bad. Right? It's like I don't even hate her. What's her name? Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't hate her. It's like she's just dumb. Just a lot of people like that. I don't waste my energy trying to hate on somebody to the point where I'm just making memes and whatever. It's like I don't care. Like, ma'am, I don't care, but don't lie either, and don't sit here and pretend like you're not benefiting from this. Okay? And that goes for anybody else out there. Ask them. Let's see your stocks. Okay? There was another one like that too. What's her name? Like, see, I live in the state of Georgia, so there's a few of them. They got stocks. They be knowing. But then they'll tell the American people something else. They be knowing. Okay? Just saying. All right, let's listen some more.
Dr. Fauci was not subpoenaed, but there he was with his wife sitting patiently and attentively and supportively behind him. He was testifying voluntarily to a Republican-controlled committee. Dr. Fauci had already voluntarily testified in private to that same committee for 14 hours. And in those 14 hours, the Republicans could not find a single thing to back up the horrible lies that some of them have told about Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Okay, so I'm pausing there too. Because again, let me see what I wrote, pulled up. Yeah, since my friend, okay, if y'all are, so some people just like to say words to get attention. And so Marjorie Taylor Greene, again, during 2020, who was president? Yeah, she's a do girl. She wanted to please the president at the time. Okay. And some people are like that. Okay. And let's see. There's even, so that's what I wanted to pull up. All right. So there's a headline from Yahoo News. The headline says Marjorie Taylor Greene tries to explain Trump's pro-vaccine. Okay. Let's read, shall we? It was dated December 28th, 2021. Oop, I'm not going. Okay. So I don't want that to be on there. Well, maybe I do. All right. So as it's pulling up, pulling it up. Oh my gosh. We got the other ones. Like, all these people are like characters to me, which they are. And I'm sure most of you the same. Like, these are like characters. Like, they're in it for the money. Most of them, and the power and the prestige. Okay. It says former President Donald Trump may be losing some hardcore supporters over his recent endorsement of the COVID-19 vaccine, but at least one of his most outspoken allies still has his back. Far-right Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene relayed Trump's position on Twitter Monday, apparently attempting to assure skeptics that Trump's promotion of the jab does not equal support of COVID-19 vaccine mandates. So I guess what this article is saying, that of course she owns stock in it. She just don't want to be told what, or she doesn't want other people to be told what to do. She don't want to be told what to do. She don't care about everybody else. She wants y'all to take it. Okay? She doesn't have to take it. See, that's what it is. She doesn't want to take it, but she wants you to take it so she can make money off of it. This is a quote from her. I have President Trump's permission to tell you that he is 100% against the mandates, but he still encourages everyone to get vaccinated and boosted. She said that. It says according to Yahoo News. Saying that she had spoken to him on the phone. That in his position, he also said if he was president, he would never mandate the vaccines. This is him getting out of office at this point. He was out of office for almost a year at that point. But yeah, she was, like I said, she's why are you calling him on the phone? She's desperate, y'all. Anyway, he also said if he was president, he would never mandate the vaccines and no one would be fired. So, I mean, I don't recall anybody mandating vaccines, but I will say this. Now, if you were going into the hospital, now this was happened to some of my relatives. If you're going into the hospital for a procedure, they were saying, well, we're not going to operate on you unless you take it. Right? That's not a mandate. Right? So just like if you're asking somebody to wipe their feet before you come into your house, you're not mandating it, but you're offering it. It's like, look, or you could take off your shoes. You know, it could be one of those kind of households. Either take off your shoes or wipe your feet before you come in here. So hospitals were saying that because, like I said, I do have a relative that needed a certain procedure and they didn't want to take the shot. And they told them, it's like, look, listen, we're not going to operate because we need to know that you don't have it and spreading it to everybody around us, right? So they took it. Okay? So, yeah. Okay, I'm just skimming through really quick. Mm-hmm. So let me remind you too. So I'm skimming through. So the tweet seems to reflect the awkward position many outspoken supporters of the former president have found themselves in a result of his recent vaccine advocacy. In an event, former Fox News host Bill O'Reilly in Dallas on December 19th, Trump confirmed that he had been fully vaccinated against COVID-19 and revealed that he had also received a third shot. Y'all, I'm gonna just tell y'all really think I think she has taken it. And that's the biggest foolishness of it all. I promise you, I think she has taken the shot. Anybody out there just lying to y'all? I think she's taking it. And commented it promoted booze from, yeah. So yeah, he a little cray, but he also don't care what people think. So he got vaccinated. And I bet you she did too. I bet you she did. The vaccine is one of the greatest achievements of mankind, Trump told Owens. And if you take the vaccine, you're protected. The results of the vaccines are good. Okay? That's from his own voice. Like, I didn't want to play that part. There's a video too here that I didn't know was there in this article. But yeah, he's being interviewed by Candace Owens. And he's saying, yeah, I did that. It was me. I made the vaccine. So it's almost like, please don't let people rewrite history. He was the president. And and the reason why I'm talking about this other law, where he was like making certain companies, like not making them, but strongly suggesting that they stop production of one thing to make another thing, like the breathing machines. The car companies were doing that. The breathing machines that people needed, the alcohol, as in rubbing alcohol, Like a lot of these companies stop production of certain things to make other things. That was him. Okay. And he's proud of it. And he talked about it. Okay. So please don't let people rewrite history for you. I'm gonna I don't want to end it just yet because I'm not okay, so yeah, so she's out there just being messy. Being messy. So, yeah, he initially received the COVID-19 vaccine in January, but did not publicize it. Called, but, and you know what's so funny? It's like, this, again, back to the whole, like, throw the rock, hide in the hand kind of thing. They're not wrong in the whole, that, you know, these three companies making a lot of money, but they're also not talking about how they're making the money too from this very thing, right? That's what's so fascinating to me. And that's why we have to learn how to really critically think versus just take whatever somebody is telling you, like, oh, well, they said this and that's it. Yeah, they say that, but doesn't mean that they did it. Doesn't mean they're telling you. They're telling you, not them. Okay? Oh, yeah, I tell you. So yeah, so that's where these things, you know, take me sometimes. So let us finish listening to the rest of this, and then I'm just gonna go attend to my day, okay? But please, go, you know, roll back and listen to all of this, because I don't know. As I am sitting, like I said, I'm sitting in my office. I needed to be able to be at my workstation here versus in the classroom. All right, here we go.
When Republicans couldn't come close to making their accusations about Dr. Fauci stick today, because the kind of thing that works on Fox does not work when Anthony Fauci is there to answer questions, the Republicans shifted to complaining about cruelty of animal research.
Okay. So again, this is another tactic. It's like, if you can't get them one way, I'm just going to make them feel bad and do this and that and blah, blah, blah. So I can teach, I don't know, effective communication. So when people, you know, switch from one thing to another, they're looking to find a way to get you off guard. So it was this, because Fauci does like animals. So it was this particular thing that got him a little bit flustered, you know, so I'll play that.
Well, the animal experiments that are conducted by and funded by NIH go through strict regulations of the proper use of animals in research. So I'm not, Congressman, with all due respect, I'm not trying to be confrontative. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
No one knew what she was talking about. Congresswoman Debbie Dingell asked Dr. Fauci about the threats that he lives with every day.
Mm-hmm.
There have been everything from harassments by emails, texts, letters of myself, my wife, my three daughters. There have been credible death threats leading to the arrests of two individuals, and credible death threats means someone who clearly was on their way to kill me. And it's required my having protective services essentially all the time. It is very troublesome to me. It is much more troublesome because they've involved my wife and my three daughters.
Mm-hmm.
At these moments, how do you feel? Keep your mic on.
Terrible.
Joining us now is Democratic Congressman Dr. Raul Ruiz of California. He is the ranking member of the House Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic and a former emergency room physician.
All right, so he was in this man that is about to speak. He is also on that committee. He is a congressman and he's a doctor. What's his name? He just introduced him. Lawrence McDowell just introduced him. I'm going to reintroduce his introduction, but he was actually there. and not just, the filming. So he is like I said, he's a congressman. Look him up. All right. Let's see what he says.
Keep your mic on.
Terrible.
Joining us now is Democratic Congressman Dr. Raul Ruiz of California. He is the ranking member of the House Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic and a former emergency room physician. Doctor, thank you very much for joining us tonight. What was the most important point that you think was made at this hearing today?
The most important point was that accusation after accusation, we debunked all of their conspiratorial accusation that Dr. Fauci, through funding, through EcoHealth, created the COVID pandemic and then tried to lie about it, cover it up, and suppress the truth. This has been 3/4 of this Congress, their thesis, and what they have worked tirelessly around to prove, and we have completely debunked it. And the other thing that was very important is to note the irresponsible and reckless behavior of, even though they know that their accusations are false, they continue to spread that information for partisan gain, which is dangerous for two reasons. One, it manufactures distrust in science, distrust in our public health agencies, distrust in public health leaders, and it leads to targeting Dr. Fauci and other public health officials for violent death threats, as you just showed here right now.
All right. I'm going to say this because y'all, there's a lot of people who, they'll run to whoever talking head is in front of them. They think, oh, well, they know the answers. Again, that's why I keep saying, I promise you, she's probably taken that vaccine. But yet she's telling all the people around her, don't do it. They're this and they're that. I promise you, they probably have taken it. Boosters and all. Okay? So, like I said, it's funny because it's the people who really need to be hearing this are the people who will probably run to whatever talking head that is convenient for them and say, don't take it. I don't believe in medicine. They out to get me, this and that, whatever. He's telling you, he's a doctor. He knows. Like, he'll be the one that gets you when you listening to those talking heads out there. Like, he would have been the one, but now he's in Congress. Like this doctor right here. He's telling you, he's like, I got to pick up the slack for all the times when y'all out there listening to people who've already taken a vaccine, who have medical care, who have all the things that you don't have, but yet you're following them, what they're saying. And then I'm the one that has to come and save your life in the emergency room when you don't listen. Let me play that again.
To targeting Dr. Fauci and other public health officials for violent death threats, as you just showed here right now, which is dangerous for two reasons. One, tirelessly around to prove, and we have completely debunked it. And the other thing that was very important is to note the irresponsible and reckless behavior of, even though they know that their accusations are false, they continue to spread that information for partisan gain, which is dangerous for two reasons. One, it manufactures distrust in science, distrust in our public health agencies, distrust in public health leaders, and it leads to targeting Dr. Fauci and other public health officials for violent death threats, as you just showed here right now.
Congressman Raul Ruiz, we're out of time for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. So that's really when it boils down to it. You can believe whatever you want to believe, but just know, have more information available to you rather than run to whatever guru that's out there. Like, don't listen to him because they are doing this and that, blah, blah, blah. It's like, ask the right questions. Did you take it? They'll probably lie, but do you have stock in these companies? Again, they'll probably lie, but let them know. watching. Okay, watch the watchers or the supposed watchers. Like, really ask them the questions, because they, they'll do the basically throw the rock and hide the hand thing all the time. So believe what you want, but just get all the information first. Okay, with that, I say